Welcome back, College Baseball Central fans. This is the weekend rotation. We come to you guys every Saturday morning and break down all the games that happened last night. I am very excited about this show. We had lots of bonus baseball on last night, and I got two wonderful hosts with me today. Micah Butel, how we doing, Micah? I see we're back. We're ready to go for another week.
Yeah, we're good. I was up as late as Andrew was, but maybe not as late as Andrew was because I could turn the TV off once it was over. But I'm good. We had a talk about electric stuff about baseball, some college baseball last night. Plus, I know rain delays stink, but having like kind of a perfect staggered window of like great endings was kind of electric.
Yeah, I got home from the Oregon State game and still got to watch some more baseball. It was great for me. I loved it, man. Usually on the West Coast, I have to start watching games at 1 o'clock on my phone. So it was great for me to be able to catch more of those games. Andrew, you were there last night for one of those late games. How we doing, Andrew Rydell? Welcome to the show.
I'm very excited to be here. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah,
Excited to
man,
talk
for
some college
sure.
baseball.
We're gonna get after it, man. College baseball is awesome, and we had a lot of games. Let's start with one of the series that was started on Thursday night here. Clemson and NC State. Clemson loses that first game 4-14. NC State really comes to life there. Good start from Dom Frinton, but better performance from Anderson Nance coming in, going 4 innings there, 0 runs, 7 Ks. Braden Fraseman, 2 home runs, a double, 7 RBIs. The game of a lifetime there, taking care of game one. And then game two last night, NC State wins again 8-3. It was a good game back and forth there. And then Alex Sosa comes up with that huge 3-run home run to put the cap on it. Heath Andrews, great 6 innings pitched there for NC State. Now in first place, Micah, in the ACC.
Yeah, it's crazy to think, the the rest of the country has done a great job of giving NC State enough bulletin board material to fuel them by themselves. Everyone acts like, don't get me wrong, like they were rough to start that year, right? Like obviously what happened in Jacksonville going 0-3, looking pretty abysmal for about 2 to 3 weeks there. But to act like, there's other teams in the country right now that also had worse starts to the season that are getting a lot more respect. It's just crazy to me that NC State was, again, they've not gotten the love they deserve for what they've done over the last couple of weekends. And again, like Clemson is one of those teams that is definitely talented enough to go to Omaha. They still have some things they're working through, and it's not like they're the perfect team. I don't think there's a single like perfect team in the ACC this year. So it's kind of just it was a perfect storm, and it's good to see NC State kind of come alive because this is the NC State team I thought you would get going into 2025, and now we're seeing it, in late April and hopefully carrying over into May and June for them.
Getting hot at the right time is a big part of this, and them being at home. If they can figure out a way to host, man, they're a really tough team at home. And NC State, the Wolfpack there is tough in Raleigh. So looking forward to seeing what they do today here, seeing if they can go for that sweep. Clemson could really use a win to jump back in this thing. But a big statement here from NC State going out there and go getting those first 2 wins there. Let's jump over to Oklahoma and Georgia, who also started on Thursday night. Oklahoma wins that first one 8-6. A great start from Kyson. He gets his 8th win of the season for Oklahoma. They got out early in that game and never really looked back. Game two, Georgia takes 10-9. Early barrage there from Georgia, taking the 6-0 lead through two. Chipping away, Oklahoma keeps trying to come back. They didn't get enough juice there. They couldn't come all the way back there, losing 10-9. Trey Phelps has hit a couple bombs there for Georgia. Is this good for Georgia to be bouncing back and good for Oklahoma? Splitting this, who really needs this series more, Andrew?
I think Georgia really needs this. They can't go on the road last week, get swept, and then come back at home. You're playing at your home field. You have been raking at Foley all year, and then if they drop this series to Oklahoma, I think they are starting to be in panic mode a little with how inconsistent their pitching has been. Kyson Witherspoon did come in and just mow down that lineup at a very hitters-friendly Foley field. But the Georgia Bats bounced back yesterday, and they get another good test in Malachi Witherspoon today to see if they can win this series.
Yeah, I think it's more important for Georgia as far as when you're looking at it as a hosting standpoint too. They've got to stay in the mix and they've got to keep winning some baseball games here down the stretch. The offense has been doing it all year. The pitching has been good enough early. It's starting to come to life that this pitching staff may not be the elite staff that they were hoping that they had, or even a very, very good staff. But it's going to be good enough to win ball games as long as that offense can keep going for Georgia. Florida State and Louisville, big matchup here in Louisville last night. Florida State wins 10-2. terrific night for Jamie Arnold, just giving up just a solo shot to Monroe. Really helped out by his defense too, getting multiple double plays there, turn behind him. The offense for Florida State comes alive. Bailey hits the inside the Parker in the first, then Farrow, then Lodis, then Fisher, and then Delamere. 5 home runs there for Florida State, Micah. That's a lot of pop there.
Yeah, I mean, Florida State continues to just be the under the radar team. Like from a standpoint of, I don't think enough people again talk about Florida State. We're in a world right where maybe the ACC isn't getting the same love it got last year, but Florida State. I mean, technically, Florida State also in first place with NC State. So they're sitting right there, kind of quietly. And like again, too, like last week, obviously because of the tragedy, they don't play that big series against Virginia. And so it's kind of like not that people are forgetting about Florida State, right? But a lot of times when you've heard about Florida State this year, it's in the midweek losses to Florida, or it was like again like that Wake Forest series, which didn't really do them much justice. So it's kind of like you only really hear about Florida State nationally when they're not doing great things. So, obviously, but they're continuing to win. I mean, again, I think they have 4 ACC losses, 5 ACC losses somewhere in that ballpark. So they don't lose a lot in ACC play. I think for me, Mark, I'm just really concerned about Louisville. And like what stinks for Louisville is that I don't think it's that this team's not good. I mean, Patrick Forbes didn't go last night. I mean, that's your Friday night ace. That's a All-American type arm. He was out. You had Eberle on the mound. You've had, again, Detmers has been out. I mean, I'm a big fan of Peter Michael, but I don't think you can ask Peter Michael to be the top guy in your rotation in the ACC. So if you want to be a top 25 team. And so it's just really tough because we know what Louisville's capable of. I mean, they're one of the few teams to beat Texas this year. They've proven that they can win big games. They beat Kentucky in the midweek. They've had good ACC series wins, but it's going to be interesting to see the rest of this series because they haven't been swept yet in the ACC play, which has been good. Like last week, they lost 2 of 3. To Clemson and was competitive in the one of those losses. They were competitive with NC State where they lost 2 of 3, and the one they won, they absolutely destroyed NC State 25-8. So they're capable of of kind of just keeping themselves in the picture. But I don't think they're going to follow the NCAA tournament. But it's getting concerning because as the season has gone on, they're getting less and less healthy, and they're playing tougher and tougher teams every single weekend.
Yeah, the injury bug has really caught up with Louisville, and it's on the pitching side, right? Because you're not worried about the hitting. Like last night, it wasn't great, but you're also facing Jamie Arnold, who might be the number 1 pick. So you're like, okay, we're going to get beat sometimes by this kind of guy. He was that good last night. The hitting has been fine. They've been staying in ball games. It's just been that starting pitching has really been so depleted by injury. It makes it really tough going into weekend series, especially against opponents like Florida State, who are looking to be a national seed. So we'll see what happens the rest of the weekend. It's going to be important. Louisville, like you said, they haven't been swept yet in a series, so they've been getting wins in these ACC series, and not getting swept is a big deal, and just staying in there. But without that weekend rotation being full, it's going to be really tough for them down the stretch here. If they get healthy, though, look out. This is a very good baseball team still a top 25 caliber type of ball club. Texas A&M and Texas, one of the biggest matchups. It was also rain delayed. We had tons of weather going all over the country last night. So we had rain delays, we had extra inning games, we had lots of bonus baseball and all over the plate. But Texas A&M loses this one to Texas 2-1. DePlanter RBI double in the third, and then the Farmer home run in the seventh is enough to propel Texas to victory. Riojas, man, what a start! And Max Grubbs coming in, and then you get the save from Volantis. Texas keeps finding ways to win, Andrew.
Yeah, even with Jared Spencer being
Done
out for the year
season.
now, they speed up Ruger Riojas to pitch on Sunday last week. He only goes 3 there, and then he comes back Friday night against a very hot Texas A&M team and just shuts them down. He's been phenomenal this whole year, but he did what he had to do to go right into that Grubbs and Volantis 2-headed monster.
Yeah.
And A&M kind of handed them this win too. They made another fielding miscue that led to the Duplantier double, and another Ryan Prager started to look like his old SEC form. And then Tommy Farmer at the very end. Funny coincidence, actually, because Jake was telling me how he hasn't hit a home run in SEC play. And then, of course, he comes up clutch with the home run. That was the deciding factor. Obviously, tensions are very high this weekend. We saw it with Ryland Galvan chewing at all the Texas A&M players when they stepped up the plate. There's still 2 more games of this series, and it's going to be just high tension, high level. at each other's throats this rest of the weekend.
And
Yeah.
what I love too, I don't mean to chime in, but something I
You're good.
watched. I've been lucky. With my full-time job, right? Our pitching coach is friends with Max Weiner, so something that was kind of brought up to me was to kind of keep an eye on like just the pitch selection. So I started to watch that during Texas games, because not that these Texas arms aren't good, because they're obviously very talented, but something that's been kind of that I've noticed is the type of game that Max Weiner's calling. I mean, yesterday you could tell he had that entire A&M lineup guessing. I mean, it was one of those things where, you know, there was no real consistency and flow of what was being called, like an 0-2 fastball after throwing 2 straight or 3 straight changeups. I think there was one time there was 5 straight off speeds. Like, normally you don't see that against this A&M lineup. Like, it was just really impressive to kind of watch the chess match that was kind of happening behind the scenes. And like, you know, for A&M, right? Like during this winning streak, the problem's been the starting pitching. I mean, Andrew touched it, right? You saw the best you've seen Ryan Prager all SEC play. And if you're an A&M fan, I know some of the folks I talked to, they were freaking out because they felt like everything that they wanted going. Like if you would have said, hey, Prager only allows 2 and really 1's earned, like, I don't know, I think both were earned, but like, yeah, the error that kind of caused something to happen. Like you're like, yeah, we're in great shape. We're probably winning this ball game. And I mean, the only run that A&M does score is because of it. Well, I guess they didn't rule it an error because technically it was never touched, but a routine fly ball with 2 outs in the infield that should have ended the inning. So,
yeah,
it's tough. And if you're an A&M fan, you're going, okay, we're right there. We were hot. We're getting back in this thing. And I think that they're fine. I think that they're going to flush this. But it just speaks to me how good this Texas team has been with just guys stepping up and, you know, falling into roles that maybe they weren't planning on at the start of the season. Max Weiner's done a terrific job with this staff because they don't have necessarily elite arms like you're talking about, Micah, but they keep getting outs and they go out there and they pitch in these situations like they know what they're doing 100%. They're confident in themselves. And I think that's a big part of this Texas. You know, they're 4 games up now in the SEC, which is crazy to think. Nobody had them, maybe they had them near the top. Nobody had them 4 games up at this point in the season, in the SEC season. So if you did, kudos to you, but there's no chance. I don't know anybody that had Texas being 4 games up in the SEC at this point. I was at a fun one last night, another rivalry game, Oregon State and Oregon. That stadium was pretty full. It was exciting there. PK Park was popping. It was a pitcher's duel, though, man. It was really pitcher's duel. Nelson Keljo going for the Beavs and Grayson Grinsell. Grinsell showed that he can be a Friday night elite starter in this NCAA. I mean, he went out there and he goes 7 innings, throws 115 pitches. He gave up a pair of RBI singles, but it's the 2 first-round guys in Arquette and Turley. So you don't necessarily feel bad about those. You get beat barely, right? And they weren't necessarily hard-hit balls. One was a ground ball by Arquette up the middle, and then the single to left by Turley. He pitched great other than those 2 singles there. Solo shot from Neville gets Oregon going. RBI double for Cooney, and then the solo shot from Walsh. Oregon gets all 4 of their runs with 2 outs. So this team just keeps finding ways to win. Big job for Oregon there. Tough one for Oregon State. They have a lot of road games coming up here. They're at Hawaii next and then at Iowa. But I don't know what you guys thought about this one. Micah, I know you were watching this one on and off. Good baseball game, man.
Yeah, it was awesome to watch. And I think what's really exciting, right, is someone that my favorite part of college athletics in general is doing the fun predictive measures, looking at the statistics. And, you know, I love doing bracketology. You can think my brackets are terrible. I just love doing it. It's fun. It's nice seeing Oregon kind of re-enter the host conversation picture. Like, I know their RPI is still at 45, so they still got a long way to go, but they still have obviously that weekend series at Iowa to end the Big Ten play. They still got 2 more, obviously, with the Beavs this weekend. You know, they go to Michigan State, I think, next week, if I remember correctly. So, like, this is an Oregon team that, you know, has, you know, obviously the polls have been way more friendly to Oregon than the actual metrics have been. So it's been, you know, it was nice to kind of see that performance. And again, like you said, Mark, like I'll take this one, Oregon State fans. I tuned out when it was 2-0 you all, and then I came back when it was 4-2. So that's my bad, Beavs. Like that was all on me. But you know, going back and watching the highlights, I mean, again, talking about like the chess match, the approach with two outs. I think even 2 of those came with 2 strikes, if I'm not mistaken.
2 strikes, 2 outs.
Yeah. So like incredible job by Oregon to kind of continue to battle. And, you know, it was cool to see PK Park. It looked like it was bumping, Mark. So it looked like you were it looks like both of you guys were at a really electric crowd last night. Actually, we all 3 were. The Lamar New Orleans game, we were walking too down in Beaumont. But it was cool to kind of look at from afar.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, the ballpark was crazy. Tonight, Oregon has their spring games during the day, and then they
Ooh.
have all those tickets going to the baseball. So all those folks are coming over to the. It's going to be nuts there for the 4 o'clock start. I'll be down there again for that one. Let's go over to your game, Andrew. Tennessee and LSU. Tennessee, they score, they put up those 3 runs, and you're like, okay, they get another run there with the killing double, and you're like, okay, 3-0, that should be enough. Shut the door. It's been a long night. LSU come back tomorrow. Couple errors from Tennessee, and then the single from Curiel, and then you're like, oh man, something's happening here. 3-run bomb there as Jared Jones walks it off, and it gets a little chippy there. I mean, it was a little chippy all day, but then after that bomb, it got a little worse.
Yeah, it was. It started probably in the fifth or sixth when Jay Johnson and Tony Vitello started to play 3D chess right in front of us. You had Jay trying to call offensive timeouts, and then Tony Vitello is skipping out to the mound, and it felt like these two like wanted to go at each other's throats all night. And then how the game ended. It all started in the bottom of the ninth. The first pitch, a fan in right field threw a baseball at Reese Chapman. That
And they
man is
got the
now,
wrong guy. I'm upset
that
about
man is
that.
now
They
a
got the wrong
hero in
guy. They
Baton
got the
They
Rouge.
wrong
threw out the
person.
wrong guy. Yeah.
That man is now a hero in Baton Rouge. I've
Yeah,
heard
he's
talks
probably like,
about
hey, that was worth getting thrown out for. I'm never paying for a drink in Baton Rouge again.
I've heard talks of him possibly throwing out the first pitch tonight, but
There's no way.
Please
no,
make him throw it from the outfield. That would be electric.
From right field fence.
but that really started, that ignited the whole crowd. They got the LSU dugout back into it. Not saying that the LSU dugout was ever out of it energy-wise, because it felt like the box was just from strike one was just like super regional feel.
Yeah.
I mean, there's eight pitches to the first two batters. 5 of them were strikes that were called balls, and they were at the umpire's throats already. But this LSU team, they've been struggling offensively. They got run ruled in the midweek against Northwestern State, and then you have to bounce back from that and face probably one of the best pitchers in college baseball, Liam Doyle, who just he lived up to expectations.
He was great last night, man. He was
This
terrific.
pitching matchup was phenomenal. Cade Anderson went punch to punch with Liam Doyle, but Liam Doyle was just able to wiggle out of some jams while Cade gave up the leadoff double. Yeah, leadoff double, and then a wild pitch moved him over to third, and then single from there. And then the bullpen, they were able to save Zach Cohen to come back for tonight. And then Jacob Mayer has been up and down. But then Tennessee, it was just weird watching them. It was such a weird game. Their pitching, I thought after Doyle, I thought Franklin was okay, and I'm blanking on who else was there. Oh my, Snead finished it out for them, and it was crazy because there's no one warming up in that Tennessee bullpen, and then you see Jared Jones walk up to the plate. In my head, I'm thinking, you're not going to pitch to a Golden Spikes nominee. You put him on, right? There's 2 outs. Just go to extras. Go to extras. And his at-bat's been very good all night, too.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, it's a pandemonium. You got Jared Jones getting his jersey stripped off. You got Tennessee's 5'8" shortstop jawing at him. You got people dancing on the dugout. You got the student section going crazy, and it was just absolute cinema.
And we get 2 more games of this. So we got more exciting action coming today all over the United States here, but that's a big one there we're looking at. I mean, I know we're looking at the Texas A&M series, Oregon State series, Florida State, Louisville. We got all sorts of great games across the country going, but that was a big one last night. Huge win for LSU. Yeah, well, Micah.
I have one quick thing. When you talk about the Bear Jones at bat, I thought Snead had him. It was 1-2. The way he attacked him with his first couple pitches, I was like, again, I trust Tony Vitello, right, to know the matchups, know what he has. I'm sitting there like, okay, I'm going to be up till 2 a.m. now or 2:30 or 3. And I'm sitting there like, I'm praying for Jake because he had to drive all the way from Houston, probably running on fumes at this point. And, again, great. Just, I mean, Bear Jones sent that thing, 4:30 something. I mean, that was
dead center.
I mean, and my new favorite hobby is watching the Jay Johnson chess match because the first time I truly noticed him, I knew he always was a matchups guy. But in that game 3 last week against Alabama, I watched him pinch hit 4 straight lefties against Osmer there in the 9th. And I'm sitting there like what? I asked Rob Vaughn after the game. I'm like, is there something like on paper that says he should be doing that? He's like, yeah. And that's all he said was, yeah. So I was like, all right. I was noticing that yesterday. I'm like, and again, I still need to know how Tony Vitello did not get charged with a mound visit, but basically did a mound visit, but didn't do a mound visit.
Yeah.
That was still really strange to me. But hey, man,
So what
that's
we were
the
told
beauty of
up in
college baseball. There's chess matches you just don't truly understand.
Yeah, the back and forth is great. I love it. I mean, it's great for the game, honestly. And between those two great coaches and getting to see that excitement, they're both excited about college baseball. They're both out there, and those fans were going crazy. Both students and fans alike. Man, I love it. I'm all for this.
Is there any fear about Tennessee since that midweek loss to ETSU? They've had 5 weekends and they've lost 7 games. Is there any concern? Not like as in missing the NCAA tournament, but and this was number 1 unanimous best team in college baseball, and now. I mean, there's a chance they don't even get the double bye in the SEC tournament.
Yeah, and they may not be playing their way into a national seed at this point. I mean, both these teams are trying to fight for that. I think Tennessee hosts pretty much no matter what, as long as they can just cruise down the stretch here. If they can get to 17 wins, I think that's easily comfortable for them to host. But it's in the conversation, Micah, where you start going, man, they keep losing some of these games that it feels like they're in or they're winning, and then they lose that game. But
and their schedule only getting harder. That's the part that's these losses are coming. I mean, not to again crap on A&M because we think they're getting better, but it was a loss with Alabama, it was 2 losses to A&M, it was a loss to Ole Miss, it was 2 losses to Kentucky. It feels like right now hopefully they get 1 right, but I don't know if they're going to win this series now in Baton Rouge. Which, by the way, thanks guys for the pick. I really appreciate you guys, Tennessee. As the only one that picked Tennessee here. But then Auburn, Vandy, and Arkansas to close out. I mean, I'd argue those 3 are tougher than the ones they've been playing as of late. So if they're only getting 1 in each of those weekends, I'm just starting to again not miss the tournament. But I mean, imagine all I know is whoever is it's probably going to be an ACC team. Let's just pray to God that Tennessee does not fall out of being a host because
they drop to it.
They're going to be the scariest 2 seed.
They're going to get sent to Oregon State.
Yeah, they're going to send them out to you, Mark.
They're going to send them out to Oregon State or Oregon. If Oregon hosts, they're going to send Tennessee out here. Oh, let's jump into another one that went extra innings. Another fun game, Micah. Virginia Tech and Duke. 3-1 there in the 7th. The home run from Miller puts Duke up 3-1. They're like, okay, we're cruising. Pitching's been great for Duke as of late. And then that 2-run home run there from Lewis makes it just a tie ball game. We pushed that all the way into extras. In the 11th, though, AJ Gracia walks it up with a 3-run shot, finally getting that life back for him. This is a guy that has All-American abilities and just hasn't really shown it this year. That had to be a feel-good moment for Gracia to go out there and hit that walk-off bomb.
Yeah, I mean, that's so needed for this Duke team. A Duke team that, again, I think is getting punished a little bit for their start to the year. I mean, they are playing really good baseball right now. They need to be talked about as a top 25 team.
Yeah.
I mean, Virginia Tech, I'm starting to get a little bit worried about them because they're clearly good, but they're not finding ways to win games at this point. And at the end of the day, that's what all that matters in this sport is, oh, cool, you've been competitive in every single one of your losses, but at some point the losses are what actually matters. So yeah. I felt bad for Virginia Tech because I thought when they tied that one mark late there in the 9th, I was like, all right, this could change Virginia Tech's season a little bit. And again, it was an extra 3 or 4 innings afterwards before it finally got ended. So, it was really fun baseball, and it was cool too, because it looked like Coombs was still rocking even late into that game. And, that's been a shot that Duke always gets is, they don't really have an atmosphere, but the last couple of years that has continued to grow. So it was cool to see that as well, because Virginia Tech and Duke isn't necessarily the attractive name to people that are watching that aren't familiar with ACC baseball. But to have the crowd they had yesterday kind of shows you what those two programs are kind of doing from an investment standpoint.
Yeah, and I was excited for this one when Virginia Tech got back in that baseball game. I'm like, okay, finally, they're going to knock off this whole we can't win on the road thing, this whole stigma that's been attached to Virginia Tech the last few years. and then they just couldn't quite get over that hump. But I really like this baseball game. I think Duke is a lot better than their record shows. I think that they struggled early in the season, kind of finding themselves a lot like NC State, right? Like we're talking about teams that have gotten really hot lately and figured themselves out. I really believe that this Duke team is a top 25 team, and I think that Coach Pollard will have them there by the end of the season. This is a bigger win for Duke than it is a loss for Virginia Tech, but the losses are concerning if you're a Virginia Tech fan and looking at this throughout the season now.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like for Duke, like just to paint a picture, right? They have the same amount of wins as NC State and Georgia Tech. They're behind NC State by a little bit in the RPI. They're neck and neck, right, side by side with Georgia Tech in the RPI. Like but again, we're talking Georgia Tech top 25, NC State top 25, and I don't know about you, Mark. I mean, I know Monty and I and Nick have done it a little bit, but like for the most part, from a national landscape, you don't hear Duke being mentioned, right? Like it's really only the ACC centric folks that are talking about Duke's capable, what they're capable of, and they're sitting there just. I mean, their resume is almost the exact same as, half the teams in the ACC that are being talked about in the top 25. So, I mean, I'm sure Coach Pollard's okay with just quietly sneaking through, the distance. I mean, they're getting closer and closer to potentially being in the double bye situation in the ACC tournament, which, in the current landscape of these conference tournaments with these 16 teams, like that double bye is huge because,
Massive.
that's guaranteeing you. I mean, you're set up now to where you can have a normal weekend if you want to win the whole daggone thing. So,
and it puts you in that host conversation when you get that double bye. It puts you in the mind of everybody that's voting for those host spots. Be like, okay, well, they're a top 4 ACC team. Why do we not have them hosting over one of these schools that's maybe 5 through 8? And
time to pull that YouTube short I made last year on why Jack Coombs should host a regional. I'm start getting that trended back up.
Get it piled back up. I love it. An ACC matchup where Vanderbilt goes down to Ole Miss. This is big time baseball here for both these teams. Vandy loses 3-8. Big win for Ole Miss there. Good to see Hunter Elliott go out there and go get another win finally in SEC play, getting his 6th win of the season. JD Thompson, not his best start after coming off of maybe his best start ever last weekend. Comes out and gets a little banged up there. Really good performance there from the Rebels. Federico starts it off with a home run, and then the 4-run 5th inning there as Hill homers, and then Furness gets an RBI, and then a couple wild pitches. Really builds on it for Ole Miss as they take this game. What do you see in this one here, Andrew? I mean, I think Ole Miss is a big win for them. Kind of surprising after how well Virginia played last weekend, or Vanderbilt played last weekend.
Yeah, I mean, Ole Miss dropping 2 out of 3 at South Carolina last weekend. That was like a little concerning for me. I was like this South Carolina team, all they do is like single you to death. They don't have any pop in the bats. And then it was like a complete 180 this week last night. They get a quality outing from Hunter Elliott. The 5 walks are a little concerning, though.
If you don't give up the hits, it's okay.
Yeah, you don't want those numbers going up, especially going to postseason. But yeah, Hayden Federico, Luke Hill. It feels like every time me and Jake do Southern Fried, it's us mostly talking about how good of quality at bats Federico and Hill have at that top of the lineup to set the tone for the Rebels. For Vanderbilt, I mean, I think it's just a testament to how good Hunter Elliott is this year and how great of a pitcher he is that last week they dominated an okay Georgia staff and then just get humbled. I mean, and then the midweek against Tennessee State, that wasn't a bright spot for them either.
Yeah.
But I'm not really worried for JD Thompson. He's been really good all weekend. Something to monitor for today and tomorrow in the Vanderbilt series. Sawyer Hawks, their closer, he was ruled out last minute last night. And then RJ Austin's dealing with some lower body issues too. And he's been game time decisions all week too. So if Vanderbilt's banged up, I can see Ole Miss taking the rest of the series pretty easily.
Yeah, this is a Vanderbilt team that's trying to put their way into the conversation at hosting. But, losing this first one, not the end of the world if they can go out and go get one of these games here on the road. If you can win one game on the road in SEC play, you're feeling fine on weekends. You'd love to take the series, but if you can at least go get one. Getting swept is tough, especially when you're in that hosting conversation there.
I'm so done with Vanderbilt, by the way, guys. They're the toxic ex-girlfriend that I just can't seem to quit. Every time I'm like last week, I'm out on them. I'm like, you know what? Georgia's going to take care of it. Not a problem. They go and they sweep Georgia. I'm like, you know what? I'll pick Vandy this weekend. You know, they're going to take care of it against Ole Miss. And then last night happens. They did it the week before. I remember who it was before Georgia, but they lost that series. And again, it was similar. Like, oh, I'm all like, again, as someone was the bracketology, their RPI is 4. So, like, the numbers, the analytics are saying that this Vanderbilt team is legit. So I'm like, all right, I'll believe in you. And then every time I believe in them, this happens. So honestly, Vanderbilt fans, if you'd like, I'll just stop picking you because you're going to win every single weekend.
If you pick just complete fading of Micah's picks.
Do they play Missouri? I might be dumb enough to pick Missouri just to do you guys a favor.
No.
West Virginia, UCF, a big matchup in the Big Ten last night down in Orlando. West Virginia wins, getting one hit, Micah. They get one hit and win this ball game. The big moments came in, though, when Chase Meyer works his way into a bases-loaded, no-outs issue there. UCF has this chance to retake the lead and take over this game. He gets strikeout, ground out to get out of this. People said they should have challenged that to play at second, and it was close. I think he was out. But great performance. I mean, he gave himself that trouble. But how do you win a game? One hit, you find 4 runs. I mean, that seems like West Virginia's season.
Yeah, they are. I mean, are they the best, worst team in college baseball? Like from a record standpoint,
They're
like
an enigma.
they don't lose.
Conundrum.
Like that's the thing. Like at some point, like you can't punish them anymore. Like I was thinking about, like I've been messing around with my bracket a little bit after the last 2 days, and I'm like, I think I have to. If West Virginia wins this series, talk about them as a host. Like at some point, like the RPI is finally getting there. They're at 17. Yeah, their strength of schedule is terrible, but if you're winning every game that's on your schedule, you really can't, look too much into it. Like most of their losses have come in the midweek. I know they lost to Penn State, obviously, after the world record hot dog eating competition thing. Like, they just, I don't know, man. But to win a game, only getting one hit, and not just win the game, like win it pretty comfortably.
Yeah.
Tells you everything I think you need to know from whether or not West Virginia is a legitimate threat, because good teams will win games when you look at the box score and say how.
Yeah, if you didn't show me the score and you saw that UCF has the 9 hits and West Virginia has 1 hit, I'm like, oh, easy home win there for UCF hits into 5 double plays, just causing their season just to be in turmoil. This is a good baseball team that just finds their way to not win baseball games, and it's been tough there for UCF. But West Virginia continue to win games. I'm gonna tip of the hat, man. I just don't know how else you don't put them starting in that hosting conversation. Not that I think that they are probably one of the top 16 teams in the country. But if they keep winning, it's hard to keep them out of there. And if they win the Big 12, I'm going to have a hard time saying that they shouldn't be a host team.
And that fan base deserves it. That's one of the more underrated college baseball fan bases. Seeing them last year in that super regional in Chapel Hill, like I always knew they had fans. I never questioned West Virginia's fan base, but like how much they actually care and are invested and actually understand the game of baseball was really, really cool to see, because, I mean, the tickets for that North Carolina Supers were so ridiculous because West Virginia fans were willing to pay $200, $300, $400 just to get their butt in the door. Like they had the outfield seats, they don't ticket, and there were West Virginia fans outside basically lining up the day after game 1 to be there for game 2. It was really cool to see.
I love it, man. Let's go down to another one here, Andrew, where we're going to talk about Arkansas going down to Florida. Wahiwa Eloy, home run in the first. Cam Cozell, home run in the second. You're like, okay, Arkansas's got the offense rolling. Liam Peterson shuts it down after that. He's like, you know what, done. 13 strikeouts in the 6 innings of work. Luke Heyman, big 3-run shot there in the 5th, makes the difference. Giving the Gators a little bit of life, a little bit of breathing here in the SEC now. They had started off so poorly, and now they're at 7-12, Andrew.
I find myself in this like predicament every weekend seeing who the Gators play, because I want to buy stock in them. I want to have hope in them. But it's like the same thing with Micah said with Vanderbilt. Every time I pick them, they lose. Every time I pick against them, they win. I picked Arkansas in our Southern Fried pick 'em because I thought.
Yep, that was me and you. We're the ones right now looking kind of silly, Andrew. Welcome to the club, bud.
Yeah, Arkansas. I thought like this would be a perfect like getaway for Arkansas, but then Liam Peterson comes right out of the gate and just blows like 13 strikeouts. That was probably one of his best outings this year outside of the Miami start at the beginning of the year. It's starting to look more and more better for the pitching staff at UF. They're starting to figure out how to use Jake Clemente, who got the save in this game. He looked phenomenal and electric in that 9th. And it's just perfect to like what they needed to do. I mean, you're gonna face some damage in this Arkansas lineup with Aloy, Cozell, both Aloy brothers, Brent Iredale. It's a very loaded Arkansas lineup, but if you can like limit the damage, limit the free passes, so they don't take advantage of them, it's gonna be Gators all weekend then.
Yeah, I've said it before. I'm like, if you give up solo home runs in the SEC, you're okay. You're all right with that because you're going to give up home runs. You just don't want them to be those big 3-run shots that get you back in the ball game, just like what Florida got out of Luke Heyman there. So big
Yeah.
win for Florida. They're trying to work their way back into this after being 1-9 start in SEC play. So we're going to see what else Florida can do. Jumping down to the Big 12 again, Baylor and TCU. A really, really ugly game, Micah. I mean, ugly. I mean, TCU scores 4 in the first with the bases loaded, hit by pitch, a walk, and then a 2-run error. It was ugly, but TCU's going to take it. And Tommy Laporte, 8 2/3, 5 hits, just really 8 strikeouts. I mean, he's been really good for Friday night for TCU, and he was not projected to be even maybe in the weekend rotation for this team to start the season.
Yeah, I think right now it's really a question of like I think the Big 12 might be the most fun conference to watch because you really don't know what you're going to get, and I think Baylor could be a very good example of that. Like when Baylor's playing their level of baseball, like high quality level of baseball, that's a legitimate NCAA tournament team.
Yeah.
But then last night, like the pitching wasn't there offensively. They had some pretty rough at bats. I kind of was checked into this one as someone that's more so just invested in the Big 12 because I'm trying to get an understanding of it. Because every time I look at the box scores, I'm like, this just again, we were talking about Western and UCF. Like you look at the box score, you're like, what the heck happened? So I'm trying to do a little bit more. Like shout out to YouTube TV and the floor split screens. There's been a lot more Big 12 baseball on my screen, but I mean TCU just continues to do damage, and I think TCU is going to benefit from the fact that there's a determinants, right? Because A&M's at this point not looking at a host.
Yeah.
They want 2 Texas hosts, and DBU's kind of fallen out of that wayside.
DBU's
With,
fallen out of
they're
it.
not really dominating the CUSA, so it's going to be hard if they don't win the CUSA regular season to justify them. And they're going to want somewhere to send another Texas school, whether it's Texas A&M or go down the list. Some of these more mid-major teams like UTRGV, like sending them somewhere in the state. Like TCU is going to get a lot more conversations about hosting. So wins like what happened last night are going to only add to the fire. So it was, I mean, and again, good for TCU. They've won a lot of sloppy games this year, and in a way, like I'm not saying that that's a winning formula that's going to get you to Omaha, but a lot of teams when they play sloppy do not win the game. So got to give them credit where credit is due there.
Yeah, same with the Friday night when they took that one from Arizona State. It was an ugly game, but they'll take the wins. I mean, they're piling up those wins. Compiling wins in the Big 12 is what matters. To me, it's really like almost a coin flip contest every single night in the Big 12. I think the teams are equal, and it just doesn't show on paper. It's just so weird. But TCU getting the win. That's what they need to do. The Horned Frogs need to keep winning games to get in that conversation. Chinook seedery, guys, man, the best seeds on the planet. I know I got a couple bags here with me today. I got a whole bunch I'm taking down to the game today. If you are in the Oregon Duck press box, you might be getting gifted some seeds today. So show up and we'll be ready for some seeds. I crushed some Hatch chili on the way down and some Parmesan and pepper. Andrew, first time on the show. What's your Chinook seeds go to, man?
Oh, the Parmesan.
Parm and pepper, man. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Can let me add a mix. You were talking about the mixes last time we did this, Mark, and
yeah,
I actually did not try the one that you told me. I got bored and I decided to mix the parm pepper and the dill pickle. Oh brother, oh brother, that was unexpectedly good. I've actually been doing that. I did that at LSU last week on Saturday. I did it yesterday during our game at Lamar. That is my new go-to is a little parm and dill pickle cross. So if you're a pickle fan and you like parm and pepper, I'm telling you, all it is, in my opinion, it tastes kind of like if you got the fried pickles, they put a little bit of cheese on it almost. Like that's kind of what it tastes like, and it's chef's kiss.
See, I'm not a pickle guy, and so the dill pickle flavor is probably my least of the flavors. It's a good flavor. I'm just against it because I don't like pickles because I had to drink pickle juice when I
Oh
was an
yeah.
athlete because I had horrible muscles that decided they wanted to tear themselves off of bones. So I had to drink lots of pickle juice. So I started hating pickles. But I have done the Parmesan pepper and the lemon pepper, mixing those two together, and that's a good little zinger. But yeah, man, the flavors are just so good. Use code CBC, you get 10% off your whole order. Best seeds on the planet. I'm telling you, they're huge seeds. They're low in lots of additives. They have low sodium compared to all other seeds on the planet. Go out, go get these seeds. Use our code CBC. You get 10% off your whole first order there. Go buy a T-shirt too, man. Go buy a koozie. They got all sorts of fun stuff there now on the website. Go check them out. ChinookSeeds.com. I'm gonna run through a few Sunbelt here, and then I'm gonna get you guys' thoughts after I talk about all three of these games here. Texas State and Troy go extra innings. Cavill hits the two-run home run in the seventh to give Troy a lead. Game tying single for Park there in the ninth, and then in extra innings, it's a loaded base. Extra innings, it's a hit by pitch to win it there in the 11th for the Trojans. Big win at home for Troy. Coastal Carolina and James Madison. That one's paused in the eighth inning, so that's why I didn't want to. I kind of wanted to roll through these because I wanted them to all to go together. Coastal's losing 0-1 at James Madison right now. Eighth inning, this game's been paused because of weather. They're going to pick that game up right here today, so they're going to end up playing two today or finishing out two today, hopefully. Southern Miss crushes App State 10-1. Southern Miss Golden Eagles get scored each of the first 5 innings there. Pressure's just building on other teams that are going and playing Southern Miss right now. A complete game by Middleton. Great performance, just 4 hits and 1 run and 8 Ks. Of these three teams, I know that we've talked about. There's maybe a host in one of these three. Mike, I'm going to start with you, and then I'll go to you, Andrew. I like all three of these teams. I've been huge on Troy all year, but we're going to have to see what happens here down the stretch.
So my favorite game was, I think one of these teams is going to host, and I've been going back and forth. It was Troy in my bracketology 2 weeks ago. It was Coastal in my past one. The thing that kills me is I think Southern Miss is the best team, but their RPI does not give them as much favors as obviously a Coastal, I think, who's in the top 15 and Troy is in the top 30.
Yeah.
So I that's why I originally went Troy, because Troy, plus like I could, maybe it's just the romantic in me, but like Troy just spent a boatload of money renovating their stadium. If y'all have not looked at that ballpark, it is beautiful. I mean, there's a chance that it might be better than some of those SEC parks down there.
It's
Like
gorgeous.
they spent a ton of money to make that place legit. So obviously a part of me wants a regional there just to be able to showcase that. But B, like, they're kind of like, I think they're the second best team. Like, I'm not sold on Coastal. I mean, maybe I'm crazy. I think they're getting a lot of love. Like, it's what makes me mad is Coastal gets a ton of love for beating NC State, but NC State gets all the hate because they lost to Coastal. And it's just like, I know obviously NC State lost to Ohio State and that too, and all that good stuff. But like, you know, Alabama's been reeling. Everyone's questioning Alabama, but for Coastal, that's a primary win. That's a huge thing. Same thing with NC State. Like, NC State struggled. Now they're playing good baseball. So look how great that win was for Coastal. Like, I'm telling you, run back to Jack's Classic right now. I think Coastal goes 1-2.
Yeah,
like,
I don't think
I really don't think that they're. I mean, bulletin board me Coastal. That's fine. Like, Conway is one of the best places to go. The boardwalk there for baseball, like, is electric. So shout out to my guy Hayden Bannock. But you know, I want to say Southern Miss would host, but their RPI just doesn't, again, do them favors. But they've, in my opinion, been the best team to, and my most fun team to watch in the Sun Belt, just because, again, like, I don't know if y'all saw their midweek with Southeastern, and I think it was Wednesday night, but I mean, to battle back, to walk that one off in the ninth there. I mean, Southeastern, a fringe at-large team if they don't win the Southland, like, crazy stuff. I mean, and again, like, that's a fan base that if they are hosting a regional, you don't have to worry about the other team's fan base coming in and taking over that place. The Pete will be black and gold.
Yeah, and it kept their home run streak alive with that walk-off home run because it was like 25 straight games or something with the home run, and he walks it off there in Monsieur. But listen, I think that it comes down to that Troy Southern Miss final weekend in the Sun Belt regular season, and I think that the winner of that one probably puts themselves in that conversation to be the host team. Andrew, I don't, these teams are really good. I know that they're around you all over the place. I'm leaning Troy. I love Troy. I think that what they bring offensively and pitching wise, and they're just a very experienced team. I do think Southern Miss might be the most talented team, but I really like Troy, especially if they can go beat Southern Miss in that last weekend series.
I think Southern Miss is the better team. I think Southern Miss has the better pitching staff. I mean, we saw it last night with Middleton. He's been phenomenal all year. When I was doing a preview on Southern Miss's opening weekend, I'm blanking on who it was now, but just reading up on like how deep this pitching staff is, this pitching staff can take them to super regionals and maybe even to Omaha. That might be a stretch, it feels like, but I feel like they are the best team in the Sun Belt. But they're hosting, their RPI is not that good. They did cancel their game against Tulane on Tuesday because of weather. There was
Hey,
no
Tulane's
weather.
a powerhouse. We saw that ECU score. Powerhouse, Tulane. I almost wore the Tulane shirt today to give them some love.
Yeah, they put up what,
Powerhouse
20,
down there in New Orleans.
20 runs in there, that one?
Come on, Andrew. You're the Tulane beat writer. Let's go. Hype them up a little bit.
They canceled that game against Tulane because of weather.
Yeah.
Not the fact that Tulane's RPI is pretty bad. And they obviously went all out against Southeastern in the midweek. I think this Southern Miss team is very good. But when it comes down to hosting, I think it's going to come down to either Troy or Coastal Carolina. And I think if Troy goes into that last weekend against Southern Miss, takes 2 out of 3, I think we can see Troy hosting.
So
Yeah,
the reason why I raised my hand, Mark, I didn't mean to cut it off. I just went and looked at the live RPI. Southern Miss is at 32. They've jumped 10 spots in 3 days. They're above Troy now.
Oh, they jumped Troy?
Correct. Troy is at 38.
Live RPI this morning.
And what's crazy is I mean, their schedule's not going to do them much favors because they end their slate with Louisiana. Well, I mean, besides the Troy series, but like Louisiana and Arkansas State both at home, which are RPI 125 plus. But like they're currently in front of Troy. They're also in front of some more notable names. They're in front of Duke. They're in front of Texas A&M. So just some they're in front of Oregon. So it's kind of. When I saw that, I was like, they jumped 10 spots in the last 2 days since I last looked. So I'm like, wow, okay, well, that does change a little bit of the argument, right? Of like, well, Troy has the better RPI. Now it's kind of like, I mean, Coastal's RPI. Let's actually do a live check on them right now. Yeah, they're 13. So
13.
They're the one that looks the most primed for it. But again.
But they got to win I think they got to win the conference still. I think that's what it comes down to. And Coastal already lost to Troy. So, I mean, we'll see here. I mean, I think that it comes down to Troy and Mississippi or Southern Miss there at the end of the season. And, if Southern Miss drops in the RPA with those next 2 weekend series over we'll have to see where it is. It's going to be a strange down the stretch here, we'll say. We're going to jump to another one here that's in the Big Ten. And I threw this one in there just because it's a rivalry weekend. And Michigan State. Michigan wins this one 8-2. Greg Pace, huge weekend there. He has the RBI double and then the 3-run bomb there. Creates enough offense. Kurt Barr goes 6 innings, giving up just 1 run. Big win for Michigan there. I don't think either one of these teams are necessarily going to be in the tournament, but I like to bring up all the rivalry games when they happen, especially live for us. Virginia and Georgia Tech. Virginia goes down to Georgia Tech and wins this one 12-9. It was a hitter's affair. I think that we thought maybe we were going to see a little bit more out of the pitching side of it, but it wasn't. It was all hitting. Cavaliers used the long ball to hold on and win that game over Georgia Tech. Teal, Godbout, Nunnally all leave the yard there. Lodi's does for Georgia Tech as well. Yellow Jackets put a little bit of pressure on there in the 9th, Micah, but the effort falls just short. Virginia is now 10-9 in conference. Don't look now. Cavaliers are coming back here.
Yeah, and that win last night, I mean, again, their RPI is still abysmal.
Bad.
They moved up 17 spots, though. I mean, that's how big, that's what, as a Virginia fan, right? Again, for those that don't know, that is my childhood team. That Florida State series, regardless, even if they got swept, they would have moved up RPI-wise. Obviously, that would have changed the whole ACC record thing, but I don't think they also get swept in that weekend. So, that was very tough for them. Obviously, the right decisions were made, right? We talked about it on our show. We are not – when we talk about what could have happened with Virginia, Florida State, that's not us saying they should have played the games. It's crappy that they're not rescheduling them. It's just, for Virginia's standpoint, that was going to be a huge RPI weekend that they obviously lose now. So this, I mean, that's why on the show, I mean, Mark, you and I are the only ones on the pick'em leaning the Who's, but I went with a sweep because I know how desperate Virginia has to be. I mean, if Virginia, I'm sure if Virginia sweeps Georgia Tech, it's going to open up that fraudulent Georgia Tech thing because it's back-to-back sweeps now. But at the end of the day, the RPI is the RPI. Virginia needs a big weekend series win. And I think taking last night, considering what, and again, the part that I think was most promising is they got to Patel.
Yeah.
They did a lot of that against Georgia Tech's best bullpen arms. It wasn't Georgia Tech kind of just said, we'll regroup and we'll see you tomorrow kind of thing. They knew that they weren't out of it because they knew Virginia's bullpen was not going to just, silence that Georgia Tech offense. But I mean, it was because I watched that was the game on my computer for most of it, since all the SEC games were in weather delays. It was kind of perfect that it was like, all right, this can be on my computer while I'm in the press box for our Lamar game. It was it was. I mean, it was great for Virginia to see, and I mean, again, Georgia Tech's not going away quietly. I think that's the thing. I think they're struggling right now, but there's no quit in them, which I'm not saying there would be, but it's nice to see a little bit.
I think Georgia Tech will find themselves again, but if you can go out there and you can beat McKee and you can beat Patel, like that's a big deal. It's a big deal to go out and hit those guys, and then you're going into the weekend to set yourself up for wins for the series. Big weekend here for Virginia. I think it means more for Virginia than Georgia Tech, but I think it's big for both these schools. Georgia Tech's got to get their way going again because they were a top 8 team there for a little bit, where they were putting themselves in that national seed host, and now they've dropped off just a little bit. Virginia needed that one, and it's a big win there. If they can go out and win the rest of the weekend, it's huge for Virginia. Penn State and UCLA. This is a big matchup for Big Ten. People are probably not paying attention too much, but UCLA is just one game behind Iowa right now, and ahead of Oregon actually in the Big Ten currently. They win that game 7-6. Cholowski and Salgado hit home runs early for the Bruins. Penn State comes back in the ninth and takes that lead, which was just, I don't think anybody thought that was going to happen. UCLA has been really good on the pitching side late in that game. They didn't. But then UCLA scores and wins it with 2 in the walk-off in the bottom of the ninth there. A walk-off error, and then the fielder's choice, and they couldn't get the double play. Big win for UCLA there. Andrew, I think that this keeps UCLA in the Big Ten title hunt.
Yeah, I think this keeps UCLA in the Big Ten hunt, and I think they can even sneak into like a hosting.
If they win the Big Ten.
Yeah, if they win the Big Ten, their RPI.
Where are they hosting at, though? Because they can't host at Jackie Robinson.
Well, yeah, they'll have to find a contract whether they're going to be allowed to.
Dodger Stadium Regional would be electric.
I was about to say they can probably just go to
Chavez
Dodger.
Ravine.
They can go to Dodger Stadium, They're 18 in the RPI. They still got the rest of this Penn State. They got USC, who RPI 42, and then they have the schedule to win the Big Ten regular season.
Yeah,
it's just they got to keep going. The pitching's they can't have hiccups late game like this, especially against a Penn State team that, in my opinion, is not that good outside of Paxton Kling. Paxton Kling's an amazing ball player, former LSU Tiger, But yeah, this UCLA team is right there in the hunt. I think they're still going to win the Big Ten.
Yep, they're right there. I mean, it's between, for me, I know Iowa's leading right now, but Iowa's got to host Oregon still. I think that there's a chance that Oregon go out and get this one still. But it's between Oregon and UCLA for me. I don't think Iowa's going to be able to hold on to that lead. But we'll see. I mean, that's why we play the games. They're not just done on paper. They're done in person. Another one done in person, UC Irvine 6, Cal Poly 4. UC Irvine jumps back on top of the Big West there. Micah, I know we've talked before, and I was saying, this might be a 3 or 4 bid team league. It feels like it's dropped back down to 2 now with Hawaii's stumbles and UCSB not being exactly where we thought they would be. Big win for UC Irvine as they jump back up on top of Poly there. Castanella hits a couple home runs there, one in the 3rd and one in the 9th, seals it up. Ricky Ojeda out of the pen has been one of the best bullpen arms in the country. Gets his 10th win. He goes 4 innings, 3 hits, no runs. Anteaters back on top.
Yeah, in a year where, for those that don't know, we're due for a mid-major in Omaha. It's every 8 years or whatever it is, and this is that 8th year. I think UC Irvine would be the team I'd pick if I had to say one team gets to Omaha right now. I mean, the way they look, the way that rotation's built, the lineup, they put together good at-bats. And the thing I like about Irvine is, we talk about it in Omaha. I mean, obviously, we've seen slugging teams win it. Tennessee could hit the lights out of the ball last year. But, a lot of times in Omaha, you have to be able to piece together good at-bats, right? Like Wake Forest 2 years ago, they were hitting home runs off the wazoo, but then it gets to Omaha, the ball doesn't leave the yard the same way it does at the couch. UC Irvine puts together a lot of quality at-bats. They're a gap-to-gap kind of team. That's going to play well if they could get there. I mean, I'm really enjoying watching this Anteater team. And, I mean, Cal Poly, it might be my favorite storyline of the season. I mean, again, we knew they would be pretty good, but I mean, they're legitimate. Like, I don't want to say whoever gets them as their 3 seed, have fun. Like Oregon, Oregon State, UCLA, if you end up hosting, like Arizona, have fun with them.
Coach Lee's tremendous.
And I don't want to see the Mustangs. I can tell you that. But
yeah,
I mean, I didn't get to watch any of this game. I'll make sure I preface this, but looking at the box score, before we went on the show, and I'm gonna try to tune into one of these games this series. I mean, it sounded like it was just a really fun game, and I mean, again, like it's just the Big West. Mark, you're going to love this as someone that's never lived on the West Coast. College baseball is more fun and better when the Big West is good. And it stinks that Hawaii and UCSB are kind of falling off, because for a while there was getting kind of fun to see, 4-bid or at least 3-bid Big West was kind of, again, really, really exciting to see, because those programs invest. Like, those are mid-major programs that, like, again, UC Irvine doesn't have football. Where does that money go? Baseball. UCSB, same thing. Like, Cal Poly's obviously got football, but they're finding ways to win while still spending money on football. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm loving what I'm seeing from the old Anteaters over there.
Yeah, it's been fun. I mean, I've seen all these teams play this year. It's tremendous. I mean, the Big West is really, really good baseball. I'm excited.
Are they doing a tournament this year, Mark, or is it next year they start the tournament?
They start the tournament this year.
That's exciting.
So it'll be fun.
That could be a fun little tournament to watch. Is it neutral, or are they doing it like at the highest seed hosts?
It's neutral. It's in like San Diego, I think, this year.
Heco Park.
I wish. That'd be dope. Yeah. So it'll be a fun one to see here. Very excited there for the Big West tournament. I mean, again, when like Fullerton, you're talking about Long Beach State. There's been teams that have been so good in college baseball lore that the Big West has a lot of these teams, and Hawaii is another one of those teams that has had some electric history. And you're looking at teams now in UC Irvine who won 45 games last year. If they didn't run into Oregon State in that regional, they probably would have been a lot better off, but they had a rough time there up in Corvallis. But this is a very good team. Orloff coaches a very good team. I look for UC Irvine to be a host, I think, this year. I really do believe that they host, as long as they can win the rest of this weekend against Cal Poly and cruise through the Big West tournament. Wake Forest and Stanford. I'm just going to mention this score here. Stanford walks it off there in the 12th. It was a big night for Stanford. They had to get something going. Nice to see Court McDonald back. He gets that walk-off single in the 12th. Stanford scored 4 in the 8th, looking to seal the game off, but Wake would come back and tie it in the 9th. These are two teams that are kind of trending down lately, but a big win for Stanford there to get something going, because they had really had a hard time in ACC after starting off so hot. And then Indiana at Iowa. Iowa ends up walking this one off in the 10th with a bunt single. A really ugly game. Well pitched, though, by Iowa, I guess you could say. Bullpen goes 4 1/3 there, allowing no runs, just the 2 hits. They're now 18-4 in conference. Guys, I don't even know where to put Iowa. I mean, they haven't really – their RPI is bad. They haven't really played anybody that you see, but they're going to play Oregon and Oregon State coming up. I guess that's going to be the really test of their mettle.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to comment on Iowa because Iowa fans hate me. I don't know if you guys ever seen my bracketology or top 25, but I pissed off Iowa people by leaving them out 2 weeks ago. And I mean, honestly, like, it's great to see. I love it. Like, I'll be the first to admit, like, I didn't really know Iowa had baseball fan. That's not like trying to take a shot at them. Like, I just didn't know, like, living in Nebraska, like, I didn't go over to Iowa City all that often. Like, I never really heard about Iowa baseball being much of an electric factory, but it was great. It's fun to see on social media. I love that kind of stuff. I want fan bases like that in the Big Ten. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it goes back to the West Virginia thing. At some point, you have to, like, I have to start giving them credit. I don't care if their Big Ten schedule's been terrible or not. I know it's going to get harder, obviously. Obviously, Oregon State's a non-conference series. But at the end of the day, they're winning games. I mean, yesterday, the Indiana game was awful. I mean, like, and by awful, I mean just kind of boring. It was good pitching matchup. Not a lot of electric moments. Like, it wasn't like runners were getting stranded. It was just kind of like just 1, 2, 3s, or more maybe 1, 2, 3, 4s. But like, that was really it. Like, but they got the job done. They continue to win. I mean, that Iowa, because the Iowa Oregon State series is in Des Moines, right, at the Iowa Cubs ballpark.
It's at the minor league.
That's gonna be really, really fun to kind of like. I'm really excited for that one. I mean, I'd love again. Like, I remember going to the Big Ten tournament 3 years ago when I was living out in Kearney, Nebraska, and seeing Iowa like not take over the Chuck, because I wasn't like it was a sellout crowd, but like obviously they are one of the more traveling fan bases for the Big Ten tournament. It was really cool to see. So I mean, I'd love to see again like a Iowa competing for the Big Ten like a Iowa UCLA or Iowa Oregon Big Ten final could be pretty electric at the Chuck of all places, So Noah, I know he's on the back end here. You might have a fun little Big Ten tournament to get excited about. So
Big Ten and Big 12 tournaments.
Are we gonna talk Wake Forest Stanford, or are we just gonna skip over it? Because I just had one comment on Wake.
You can throw a comment into it. I was just trying to get. We're close to that time.
No, yeah, I know. Just quickly, Wake Forest 1-6 in their last 7 ACC games.
I said
their schedule is Gardner Webb next weekend because the ACC does those exam week breaks. Pittsburgh and Louisville, so their RPI is going to start to drop here soon. They're 10-12 in ACC play. They're getting pretty close to falling out of, like, they might be an actual bubble team if they lose this series this weekend in I almost said Palo Alto, but I remember now. Stanford is in Stanford, California.
Stanford.
So
Yeah. It's
Andrew didn't know that. You can tell Andrew had no idea that it's actually Stanford, California, where their campus is.
You have to drive through Palo Alto to get to
Stanford.
Yes, big one there. I mean, it's important here. I'm concerned about Wake Forest, and I think that it's showing up more and more where they're just not able to hang on and win these games. But 1-6 in the last 7 games now. That's not a good thing for them. Moving down here through the stretch here. All right, something cool, Andrew. Give me something cool. I'm assuming I know what it is, but go ahead, hit me with the something cool.
I was going to go with the Jared Jones home run, but I'm going to give a shout out to the team that I cover most, the Tulane Green Wave. They got their
20
they got their teeth kicked in last Sunday. They lose to the top team in the AAC, UTSA, 25-7. Not their best pitching outing. They walk 15 guys. They give up the home run cycle in the 4th inning. How do they respond to that? They get their midweek canceled. They have to go to the jungle in ECU, and they scored 9 in the 1st. And then Luke Flauta just dominates. Well, no, he didn't dominate. He was good. He was solid enough to not blow a 9-0 lead. And the Tulane batch just stayed hot that whole game. 20-5 win. I got to give a shout out to Tulane. That was my something cool.
I mean, they did allow 4 unanswered to end the game, Andrew. So I think we really need to start being concerned about this Tulane bullpen. I'm just kidding.
I'm still concerned.
Micah, you're something cool, man.
My something cool. We're going to the SWAC. Arkansas Pine Bluff, the hottest team in the SWAC, took down the top dog Bethune-Cookman yesterday in game 1 of their series. Watch out for the Golden Lions. I got to watch them in Beaumont earlier this year. That's actually not, I mean, for SWAC standards, not a bad ball club. Shout out to the Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions taking game 1 against the top dog in the SWAC, the Bethune-Cookman. I always forget if they're the Jaguars or I can't remember which version of Wildcats. Wildcats. I knew it was a cat. But yeah, shout out to the Pine Bluff Golden Lions. By the way, one of the most underrated logos in college athletics, because those of you that don't know, UAPB is in the mane of the lion. So fun fact for you.
Shout out Logan Scout, their head coach.
Logan
Scout, their head coach.
I got 2. First one is Army clinches. Army clinches the Patriot League. It's April, folks, and they've already won the league. That's how good they have been in this conference. Big job for them last night getting the win on the Friday night there. Congrats to Army going out there and being, I believe, the first team to clinch any division or any conference. So big for Army there.
Wait, you said they clinched the division? I think they just clinched a tournament spot, Mark, because Holy Cross is in first place.
Yeah.
Okay, they clinched.
You had me there. I'm like, Holy Cross is in first place, and they can get to the weekend. They've only played 1 game, so they clinched the spot in the tournament because
clinched the spot in the Patriots tournament.
4 teams make it, and the 5th seed is Lafayette at 8-13. So
good. So they're in. They're in the postseason play.
Don't let Army get hot though, because they always run the Patriot League. So
I love Army. That's why I wanted to make sure I shouted them out today. And then my other something cool is all the rivalries across college baseball. So many good rivalries last night, and we get all those again today. I cannot wait. The crowds have been insane this weekend. It really feels like the first big weekend of college baseball that we've had where all the fans have really shown up across the country. And I love it. I mean, going out there and being in the crowds yesterday, getting to meet lots of people, having lots of people take pictures and do all the fun stuff. It was a blast to be a part of all of that, being with those crowds. And I can't wait for another one today down there in Eugene. I'll be at PK Park. 4 weeks left-ish. What teams do you think that have started off rough and maybe be making the tournament now, maybe even hosting? I know we've talked about a few. There hasn't been an SEC team that started off 1-9 to make the tournament, and we might have 2. Andrew, I'm going to let you start on this one. Who do you think makes that last-ditch effort to get into the tournament?
I've been harping on it a lot more now. It's Mississippi State. I think Chris Lemonis his seat is getting slightly warmer. I think Mississippi State is going to start getting a little hot. They're going to start throwing all these crazy ideas out on the table just to scrap out wins. They drop a tough one at Auburn last night.
6-13 now.
Yeah. It's going to be tough to see them, but they still got Ole Miss in a series, and they usually take care of business against Ole Miss, except on Tuesday. In the full series, they usually take care of business against them. And we joked about this. There's a slight chance that Missouri is 0-27 going into their final weekend against Mississippi State, and Mississippi State is going to need all 3 of those wins. And it would be hilarious if Missouri just came in and swept Mississippi State and ruined their tournament chances. But Mississippi State is who I think is got to win now.
They got to win 7 of the next 4 because there's only been one team ever in SEC history to go 12 wins and get into the tournament, and that was Alabama in 2000, I believe, 18, because they had a rain out to where they actually went 12-19, or 12-17, and so they kind of gave them that buffer there. But yeah, I mean, Dad, they got to go 7-4 down the stretch. Micah, who you got?
I think they're going to be able to do it. Mississippi State will be, because, I mean, again, Ole Miss, Kentucky at home, and then at Missouri. By the way, if Missouri's 0-29, can we figure out a way to like make some dumb bet with Jake to make him drive all the way to Columbia to see that potential historic moment of an 0-30 SEC season, first time ever? But anyways, my Mississippi State, I'm just worried about their bullpen. I saw it in person on Sunday against Florida. I mean, they won that game, but they tried to give Florida every reason to come back and sweep that game. And obviously last night it kind of cost them. It cost them in the Ole Miss midweek. So, it's something that's definitely concerning. I mean, I think I don't know if Texas A&M falls into that category, but I think because now everyone's kind of thinking that there are for sure in. I think they're one of those teams we talk about. But I mean, I hate to say it. I ruled Florida out, and I think I have to like resuscitate them because they are just continuing to. Again, and this year the difference is they actually have good, like that Florida State midweek, winning that Florida State midweek series, is going to do them some numbers and favors in the RPI this year, and it is doing numbers for them. Obviously, Miami's playing better baseball. That weekend series against Miami is looking better and better as the season progresses. So, from Florida's standpoint, last year it was all just non-con. Well, I mean, Florida's getting closer and closer. I mean, Florida is really a series away from having a bye in the SEC tournament at this point. So if they get to that, like if they're in the top 8 of the SEC, like they're in the tournament. I don't even care if it's 12 wins, 13 wins. Like I don't think anyone that's in the top 8 of the SEC is going to miss, the NCAA tournament. So I think Florida's got to fall into that category. I'm holding out hope for Virginia, Mark, but the problem with Virginia is that RPI is just so bad, and it doesn't get much better. It's like, I mean, their remaining ACC slate is not, I mean, at Virginia Tech is fine, but it's not like, top 15 RPI weekend or anything like that. So I'm curious though, if the committee makes any benefits because of the preseason expectations mixed with like, again, the Florida State cancellation, like that's not Virginia's fault. I mean, it's nobody's fault, right? But like Virginia is in that case kind of punished a lot because of what happened, because right, that's a weekend that, they needed. So I'm intrigued to see what they do with them, but those are probably the teams I'm circling as like a sluggish start to maybe sneak their way in.
I wrote off Florida, but I'm telling you, you got to get to 13 wins. But the win last night against Arkansas was a big one. I think that really puts them back in that conversation there. Virginia and Miami. I'm going to throw Miami in that same boat where they started off really cold and teams were writing them off. If those two teams finish above 500 in ACC, I think you got to put them in. I honestly think you got to put them in the way they're playing good ball down the stretch here. Those are the two teams I'm looking at as the ACC is Miami and Virginia. If they finish above 500, I put them in. And Miami had a big win last night, 2-1 over Boston College. Big series there. They have to go out and get that one and get one today. But if they finish above 500, I'm putting Miami into the bracket. All right, last question of the day before we finish with our final thoughts here. Big 10 and a Big 12 team, can both conferences have a host? Andrew, I'm gonna let you start and I'm gonna let Micah finish on it. I believe that only one of these conferences get a host.
I think we see 2. I think we see Oregon host, and I think we see a West Virginia host. I don't think Kansas has had the good RPI to get to host. I don't know their live RPI as of right now. They're 24, Kansas. I just don't think Kansas gets that host. I don't think the committee views them as like they got a lot of quad 3 and quad 4 wins over West Virginia, who has been building up these good Big 12 wins. They don't have the RPIs we've mentioned, but I still like West Virginia. And then Oregon, if they sweep Oregon State or just win the series, I think it sets them up perfectly. And then finishing against Iowa and going into that Big Ten tournament, I really like the chances Oregon host.
Yeah, Micah, do you think that these teams have to one? Do you think we get a host from each one? And do you think they have to win the conference tournament to be put in that conversation to host, or is the regular season title going to be enough for one of these teams?
I think the Big Ten you might have to. Like for
Win
example,
the-
if UCLA doesn't win the Big Ten tournament, then because again, like they've got some out of conference losses that are head scratchers.
Yeah.
More so early in the year, but I mean they had some, and again because of the ballpark issues, sometimes right we've seen like, do we really want to even try to figure out where they're going to host? Like, are they even going to put a bid
shies
in?
away from it
They
sometimes.
might
Like,
not
yeah.
even put in a bid to host if UCLA is kind of like, well, we're not even sure. Like, do we really want to go through the logistical nightmare of figuring this out? Like, but I actually have a crazier take. I think both conferences get one, and I think 3 between the 2 get to host.
Whoa.
I think the Big 12 gets 2. You're telling me West Virginia, Arizona, TCU, Kansas, of those 4, you can't get 2 of them to host? I think you can easily. And again, too, like I know the sport's not as much about the regionality as it used to be, right? But unfortunately, UC Irvine's RPI is probably not going to be high enough to get them in that host conversation. They're going to want 2 or 3 teams in a different time zone to host. Oregon State will obviously probably be one of them. But why would you not want to have a conversation about Arizona hosting, or again having the conversation if Oregon can get their RPI up a little bit higher, letting them like Oregon, UCLA, one of those I think will end up hosting. I think, and then you throw in again like Kansas might be one of those hosts that gets thrown because they want the atmosphere. Like that would be a perfect 16 to pair with whether it's Texas or whoever, and the atmosphere, the conversations. They know it's going to be vibrant. I mean, the hog's got to be cranked, right? So, it's one of those things where I think there's going to be 3 across these 2 conferences. I lean more the Big 12 being the one that gets the 2. Yeah. But I do, again, you're telling me that Oregon and UCLA both can't host. I don't think that's completely out of the realm of possibility. So, if they do what we kind of think, Mark, which is those are the 2 best teams in, the Pac-12. Geez, sorry, RIP. The Big Ten, like, like that's a legitimate reason to believe that they can both host too. So
yeah, I think we're looking at 2. I don't know if they're going to be from each conference. I think that you should, if you win the conference and you win the conference tournament, if you win both, you should get a host no matter what. But I lean towards Kansas being a really fun place and an atmosphere that I think would be electric if they got a host. That RPI being 24, if they go out and they can beat West Virginia in that last season series, if they can go take 2 or 3 or sweep that one, I think they put themselves right in that conversation, even without winning the Big 12 tournament. But we'll see. We get to watch it here for the next 4 weeks. I'm excited, man. Can't wait for that show. Final thoughts today. Andrew, you get to start with final thoughts.
I think you hit it perfectly with how great these rivalries have been. We get Texas and Texas A&M again today. We get LSU and Tennessee today. LSU, Tennessee. You got Marcus Phillips, Anthony Ianson. It's going to be another loaded day of college baseball. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. I love college baseball. We all love college baseball. I'm so excited to watch more college baseball.
Here. Love it. Micah, final thoughts today, buddy?
Yeah, man, it's going to be fun. I think this is the most I've been invested in mid-major weekends too. Like there's a lot, again, I'm in the Southland, right? Like there's a lot of good weekends going on. UTRGV, McNeese is going on right now. That's a big one for the Southland Conference. You've got Louisiana Tech and DBU going blow for blow last night for first place in the Conference USA, with Western Kentucky also in that conversation. I mean, it's been a lot of fun to kind of track some of these weekends. The Southern Conference is having a really fun postseason race right now too. So it's been a lot of fun to kind of track that. Obviously, we've got Cal Poly and UC Irvine still going at it, today and tomorrow. So a lot of things to really be excited about. So I think that's a big one. And I'm also going to be dialed into Tennessee and LSU, Andrew, because I'm curious, since Jay Johnson's a big matchup guy, How many times are they going to steal on Marcus Phillips? Because I don't know if you guys know, Marcus Phillips is trending towards being the most stolen on pitcher in one season in SEC history. So
Well,
keep that in the back of your mind today.
Jake did ask Jared Jones, or he told him, wasn't really a question. He told him you stole a bag. So I wouldn't be shocked if Jared Jones gets on base. We see him running again. So.
Trying to steal again. I love it.
We'll 4 or 5 steals today from LSU. We'll see. At least
I love it, man.
We'll see if it works. But
college baseball's rolling, folks. Thanks for joining us. We'll be here again next weekend. Mark Garland here with Andrew and Micah. Thanks, guys, for joining us. We're going to be back on next week. Let's go college baseball.